Some days you just want to fire up the cook stove, invite a friend, and bake. And baking with a friend who has decades of experience with wood-fired stoves, well, that is a grand treat. It's fall, and that's what we're gonna do today. Bake, and fry, and tackle a plague that nature has brought on this cabin. So let's light the fire and send September off right. Oh my goodness. You guys, this cabin is under siege. This has reached plague-like proportions. I have never in all my years in Montana seen flies like this. So, before our guests arrive, I am sweeping and scrubbing and my hands are cracking from trying to get not just the bodies of the flies up, but the absolute staining and mush they leave behind. I mean, we are talking an inch and a half thick deep of flies in every windowsill. And I cleaned them all just days ago. I mean, just days ago, this whole place was clean and disinfected. So yeah, we are in a plague. This is serious, and I am exhausted. And once we get this place completely scrubbed and washed with antibacterials, thanks to our modern world, we're gonna cook. We're gonna go on a little adventure. I've got sourdough. Cynthia's bringing cookie dough, and I think we might even go out to the garden and dig something to fry up. All right, it's time to go meet our friends. The place is as clean as it's gonna be for the minute, which is still pretty gross. Let's go get them. So I drove out to the main farm and led our guests back across the cut hay fields to the cabin. As soon as Cynthia and Sam got here, I put them to work. The turn-of-the-century coffee grinder, Sam fixed it, had it grinding perfectly in under a minute by doing exactly the thing that you all told me to do, adjust the wing nut on the handle. It worked brilliantly. The grind before had been very coarse. A few twists, and now it's just the right coarseness for cowboy coffee. Nailed it. And Cynthia, well, she has cooked on wood-burning stoves for years. Wonderful Cynthia traveled from afar and planned this trip to come cook in the cabin. But being the good hostess I am, I put her to work straight away, and not on the fun stuff.
It's truly like a plague. It is, yeah. I can see it. I've never seen them that bad.
Any pioneer woman from history would be ashamed of me for making my guests work, but there just aren't enough hours in the day to keep up with these flies. So we all pitched in, because we have a flurry of baking to do today, and nobody wants to bake in a dirty cabin. Come on. Step 1, light that cook stove. It may already be 80 degrees outside, but no matter, the work goes on. Luckily, we have all of our ingredients whipped up already. We let this day go the way that it wanted to. No great pre-planning. But I did have sourdough cold rising in the fridge at home, and Cynthia had whipped up a batch of her grandmother's chocolate chip cookies, so we had our bases covered. No doubt when homesteaders and pioneers out on the American frontier lit a stove to bake, they had everything all set before they lit that match, because you didn't waste the wood or the heat at this time of year. I would bet on hot days many a meal for the day was cooked all at once, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Unless you had a big crew to feed, you'd bake your bread, your cookies, and maybe your beans or roast all in one go of it, not lighting the stove each time for breakfast, for lunch, and then for dinner. No doubt in the winter months, it would be a treat to keep it going all day. And if you had hired men and a large crowd to feed, you very well may have had to keep your stove going all day long. But not today, not for us. Today we're packing it all into one big bake.
It'll go.
Yes,
We hope.
we hope. And if not, we will soon find smoke billowing out.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we have a little.
It may do that, especially it's very
It's
calm.
warm. Yeah.
If we have a breeze, not so bad.
And it's
too
warm
calm.
out too.
Yeah, you're right.
So it may not want to draft as well.
So sometimes we just...
And then we have a fella that we just started buying our wood. It just makes my oldest son crazy that we pay for wood. But I said, you guys don't have enough time.
And we don't have enough of the good.
And see out here, we have a lot of trees, but they're pretty much all pine.
Yeah.
And you know, it burns,
Yeah.
but it's not great.
It doesn't make good coals,
No, it doesn't.
so you gotta keep feeding the fire more.
So the stove, although it's smoking and sputtering on this still hot day, which is a real consideration when it comes to lighting a stove, a slight breeze actually really helps it draw. Oh, does that help it sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah, more air, can get more air in.
Smart. You're at the mercy of nature here. This stove that we call Julia in honor of my 49ers ancestor who came west on a wagon train, well, Julia is a true beauty of a stove, and she got heating up fast. Before long, it was time to turn on the oven.
I don't want to let this spoon down.
Oh, here, I'll give you a screw, Chris. Cool. The oven on an old wood-burning cookstove like this one takes about the same amount of time to heat up as any modern oven. Maybe even faster if the wood box has a good fire going in it. So while the oven starts warming all its sides, the top, bottom, sides, and back, there's another sweet treat of the day that can kick off, and we're gonna do it right on top of the stove. You all who watch frequently, you know I'm not a fiddly sourdough person. I'm more of an historical sourdough person. This was a pioneer's food that kept in all weather, and it fed you in tons of different recipes. From tortillas to English muffins to rolls to pancakes to what we're doing today. A good old-fashioned family favorite, the donut, the beignet. There's no sugar in it, no eggs in it, but you'll never miss them. This is history's donut, and it's always a hit. Just flour, water, sourdough starter, and a pinch of salt. Sometimes I put in a little melted lard or olive oil as I work it, but it is as honest as those few ingredients I just listed. The full recipe is free in the description, or if you want to buy a pack of our handmade recipe cards, I'll pop a link to our store. It's always good to hold something in your hands when you're cooking. At the end, we roll it in a quick mix of spices, and it needs nothing more than that. In fact, this is a dough I often make in the evening, and I toss in the cold of a fridge or in the Pioneer version a root cellar, and then it can sit for a day, even 2 days, as I figure out if I'm gonna fry it, bake it, or put it on the griddle for English muffins. On a cook stove like this, the dough could go any of these 3 ways, but I asked everyone, and they voted for this way. And to be honest, it's the easiest one.
What do you think, Georgie?
Good.
Good.
Let's grab a skillet off the wall, the deeper the better. But super big is not necessary because we don't want to waste our precious lard. That's what we're going to fry things in. I strain and I reuse my lard because it's just too special to waste. But vegetable oil works great for this too. Now I did have enough forethought to put my glass jar of lard into the upper warming oven at the very start when we lit the stove.
The lard is larding.
Lard is larding.
Yep, the lard is larding.
Oh yeah, it's getting more.
So it's melted just enough to make removing it from the jar a breeze. Into the skillet it goes, every little last drop in the jar. This frying lard is going to give the perfect golden color to these donuts, but it's not going to impart any strange flavors. That's the beauty of pure lard. So onto the rapidly heating up cook stove goes the skillet.
That's why they always come in from the field. They're ready to eat.
You know, you just can't get a lot of these foods anywhere else but at home.
I had $20 steak for breakfast.
As the lard is starting to melt and the one-room cabin's getting warm, we talked about what history was like with Mom and Dad and maybe 5 or even 10 kids in a cabin as small as this. That's what I've heard people say, that the kids were just, they were just outside, period. Mom would say, get out, and they were out. There was no reason to be indoors during the day. Little did I know, Sam grew up with 12 siblings and knew exactly what it was like.
Got a bunch of kids, they learn how to play together pretty well.
Or the young ones don't make it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yelling and screaming and stuff outside. She said the only time she worried was when they all came in the house at the same time.
Then
Then there was something happened.
Oh, 12. So you must have been one of the oldest then.
Second
The
oldest.
second oldest versus the youngest must be a
No
completely different experience.
There's no.
I mean, you basically raised a family already.
Yep. Well, there's 18
Really?
years between you and your youngest brother.
Now, this is going to be the hard part, is gauging temperature. And I don't fry all that often, so
All right, let's test the lard. No thermometers out here, just the eyeball test.
yet.
No.
Nope, not hot enough yet. But that can change in the blink of an eye. A few extra minutes to let these sourdough donuts rise can only be a good thing. They'll get lighter and airier. While the lard is heating up, let's talk about what's headed into the oven. Because a stove like this can do all things. And this is what happens when a fellow wood stove baker comes to visit. My first time baking cookies in this oven is about to begin.
Okay.
It's the old family recipe. It starts with 2 eggs, 1 cup of butter, vanilla, which you never measure, you just dump and pour, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking soda, 2 1/4 cups of flour, 3/4 a cup of white sugar, 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, and 2 cups of chocolate chips.
I think this will get the kids here too. Cross the railroad grate to find them.
And the multitasking begins. The cookies are in the oven. Let's test that hot lard again. Doesn't work. Yes, it's ready. I see the little bubbles forming and the dough pops to the top. That's what we want. Neither too hot nor too cool. That lard needs to be just the right temperature, and we're gonna shuffle it around the cook stove to maintain that. But we can't even take a breath here, because in just 4 minutes into that hot iron oven, those chocolate chip cookies are done. They're not burned, they're not ruined, they just bake quickly in these old wood burning ovens, and you have to keep an eye on them. So out comes the first batch.
4 minutes.
That was it, and maybe they should have had 3.
Wow.
And they look gorgeous, packed with flavor. The heat in a wood-burning oven is all at one side, the left side and the top. Now, it tries to wrap around the right side and the bottom, but it'll never be as hot on those ends. Now, you might think that's a disadvantage, and sometimes it is. Try cooking a big turkey in one of these. It doesn't always go to plan. But for this recipe, it's not, because what it does is it gets you that golden caramelized butter on the top and the side, and so you get these pockets of flavor. The cookies bake through quickly and evenly, but then you get just that bit of golden color, and that's where the flavor's at. Chocolate chip cookies are good however you bake them, but done in a wood oven, there's just that extra magic that brings the whole gang running. We got this house packed, but our ancestors certainly knew that flavor, that texture, and that little bit of extra something that an oven like this can give you.
You ready, Mags?
Now this beautiful cook stove has given us another treat in the same amount of time, a heaping plate of sourdough donuts, and each child has their job to do. Maggie is officially the spice and sugar commandant, and George is in charge of eating.
What do you think, Georgie?
Good.
Good.
Cinnamon is a classic spice to roll these in here. A pinch of nutmeg adds some historical flavor. Never forget the nutmeg, right? Sam and Cynthia pull the final batches of cookies from the oven, and I'm just keeping the lard at the right temperature, sliding the cast iron pan around the cooktop to keep a perfect heat.
To see the little farmyards and every
cooktop is hot.
wilder.
A few square donuts go in at a time, flip, and then onto a clean white cloth. What better fun is there than baking all together on a fall day? It's hot, there's flies, but nobody seems bothered in the slightest. We all know that before long, this fall will turn to winter, and the chances for these days disappear.
Thank you, everyone, for cleaning, for cooking, for meeting new people in the cabin with us today. This was what it's all about, right? It's fall in Montana with good friends in a beautiful place, really experiencing history. The great parts and tough parts. The tough parts that, coming from the modern world, I didn't understand. You think, yeah, there were bugs, there were flies, there were creatures that visited you, sure. Try living with it. Try experiencing the amount of flies, the amount of creatures that get in. It changes everything about your daily life. Cleaning takes on hours of work every day, not just a little bit here and there. Dusting, you know, here we dust once a week or once a month if you're like me, but here you've got to keep on top of it. If you want your family to stay healthy, you better be cleaning and working. And I'll tell you, the month of September has really hit that home for me. It's why reading about history doesn't always cut the mustard. Experiencing it takes things to a whole nother level. And I feel like finally, I understand when you read these books about locust swarms and Kansas cabins filled with flies. I get it. My hands get it. Thank you guys for hanging out in the cabin with us, meeting new people, cleaning, cooking. We ran the whole gambit today, and this is what it's all about. Cheers, everybody. See you next week.
Okay.
Really sharp people.
All right. Oh, your shirt is in the cabin.
Oh yeah, we gotta go back in and grab
back
stuff.
inside now.
In you go.
Okay.
Back inside. It's too cold out here.